Well, I never promised you that I would show you just good teams all the time. What we have for you here today, once again, April 23rd, 1949, we're going to play the Philadelphia Athletics at the Washington Senators, which, as you can see, means that I get to manage the hapless Senators. Let's see how it goes. Washington with a record of 0-5. As I mentioned before, we are, oh my goodness, and it's a triple to Elmer Valo, the first batter of the game. What a great start for Scarborough, right? What do you think? Do we put the infield in? No, no. We're just going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead. We're not going to worry too much about it. And it doesn't matter either way because Eddie Juice has hit a 2-run home run, fourth home run of the season, and this game is over before it even started. Likely. Well, we'll see. You never know what happens. Anything can happen with this game. I was about to say that, it's going to be interesting to play here. I love this Philadelphia Athletics team, which is a team that's not very fondly remembered. The Athletics had a great double play combination in the late 40s and very, very early 50s. This was a team, by the way, that I think it was in 48 that had the ability to compete somewhat for the title for at least much of the season. As sort of one of those miracle teams before the famous Miracle 50 or Miracle Phillies of 1950. And so, you never know what'll happen. It's always fun to play with them or to play against them, though when you play against them, it's not much fun because they keep earning double plays. This is the leader all time for most double plays turned in a single season. And hey, Eddie Yost did something. We got a leadoff walk. I think we'll hit and run. Let's see what happens. See if I regret it. Foul ball. We're not going to do it twice in a row. Bain boots it with an air. Wow. Hey, what if Washington takes control of this game right here? Let's see what happens. Bud Stewart now. So the interesting thing when you talk about the record, the 217 double plays that the Philadelphia Athletics turned, and there is a double play right there. Speak of the devil. One of the interesting things about that record is that it's very, very difficult to find a lot of information about it. If you go do your Google searches on it, and that's it for Washington, they definitely blow that. If you do your Google searches on this record and you look around and see what people will tell you about the 217 double plays, there's no information anywhere. Go on to Fangraphs and look through it. You can look on Fangraphs and try to sort by most double plays per team or for a team for an entire season, and you're not going to find much. In fact, you'll find data this way all over the place because of how their data is organized and all of that. What they're doing is they are double and sometimes even triple counting double plays, depending upon how many assists and how many putouts there were. So the data is totally all over the place. Baseball Reference does list double plays by team, but it's not something you can sort by. So if you're looking to see which team is second on that list, I'll tell you which team is second. It was the Pittsburgh Pirates of 1966, I think it was, who missed the record by one. It's not exactly a record that people celebrate. Nobody walks around saying, man, don't you remember those great Athletics in 1949 turning all those double plays? I mean, it's kind of neither here nor there. But it's a very, very interesting record to talk about. It's an interesting thing to sort of keep in mind. And it's one of those things in baseball history that has gone forgotten as Evans walks here to lead off the bottom of the second for the Senators. It's interesting just how little attention has been paid to this record, and that despite the fact that you have more games today, you have better fielding gloves today, you have fielders who everybody tells me are much more athletic and in much better shape, yet they can't touch the record. I am not entirely certain that I understand why that is. I do know that something does have to do with the number of base runners that Philadelphia faced during the regular season in 1949, but not entirely, because Philadelphia didn't. We'll go for it here. Kozar going to third, and they got him. Just my luck. They always say don't make that second out of third base, right? Well, here I am making that second out of third base. And look at that as a base hit. We would have, we're not going to test his arm again. We would have scored a run there if I was paying attention, wasn't yapping about double plays. But at any rate, it's hard for me to believe, and that's the end of that rally. Hard for me to believe that oh, wow. That was a surprising play. So, Valo here ripping that into left center. has an easy double, goes for third for his second triple of the game, and this time is thrown out. That's definitely not the sort of play that you see every single day. Anyway, I was going to say that with the double play record that the Athletics set in 1949, they weren't even necessarily the team in the American League that faced the most base runners. I mean, the Yankees gave up more walks and by a significant margin than the Philadelphia Athletics did. Oftentimes, those of us who are familiar with baseball in the late 30s maybe, and throughout the 40s will think, the Athletics, they were one of those, kind of always in the second division type teams, sort of like the Senators. But the truth is that this Athletics team is actually pretty good. Now, I'll tell you that, there's a lot of sort of, that was very, very, very nice by Chapman. Wow. So very, very interesting that he dives down and he grabs the ball, throws it from his back from lying down, and still nips Chapman at first. That's another one of those kind of exciting plays that you like to see. Anyway, the truth of the matter is that this Philadelphia Athletics team doesn't get a lot of respect from a lot of people. There was an article that I read talking, as I think we were yesterday, about walks. There was an article by Steve Treater in the old Hardball Times, which, speaking of things that are out of date, that definitely does not exist anymore, as sad as that is. A little pop out to Juiced went away. He was talking about some of these hitters in 1949, and I think he mentioned, it may have been Eddie Juiced, this guy had a great on-base percentage, took a lot of walks, and and so on and so forth. How odd it is that this player that nobody really talks about was so good at this, and blah blah blah. I mean, the truth of the matter is that Eddie Juiced is actually a pretty good player. I mean, you play Diamond Mine, you play any game like this, and you come up against him, you'll see that he's a good player, right? And you'll think, oh, how come I haven't heard of this guy? I mean, some of it probably is a sort of East Coast bias, but whatever the real reason is, the truth of the matter is that we should, I think, pay a little bit more respect to this Philadelphia Athletics team. They had a good team. How about that? Majeski now, and triples are definitely in season here in April in Washington. The triples are growing like the cherry blossoms. Did they have cherry blossoms in D.C. back in 1949? I'm not sure. I think that they did, though. But, 2 triples so far in this game for the Philadelphia Athletics, and almost a third one. Valo just getting thrown out at third base, probably on a close play. And it's still 2-0 here going to the bottom of the fourth. And Al Evans just misses a home run. Boy, that would have been nice. I wonder how many times, if you're a Senators fan in 1949, you would watch this team and think, boy, if he could just straighten that one out, we'd have something going on. Actually, you probably wouldn't have watched the Senators that often, considering how good this team was. But I'm sure if you were a kid and you were a fan, you probably thought that a lot. All we need is to straighten those foul balls out a little bit, and we'll be just fine. And there's another double play for Philadelphia. What did I tell you? And that's Eddie Juiced there at the start of that one. I'm telling you, man, this is a good team. Juice. Today we have Nellie Fox playing second. I just felt like putting him in, so I did. That's the sort of team that they have, where you have 2 guys playing second base who have that very good rating that is somewhat coveted here for Diamond Mine. I'm sorry. I thought that I was at bat. This is what happens when I do these games and I talk about them. I end up thinking about what I'm talking about and kind of forget who's at bat and what's going on. Man, Eddie Yost almost getting the double play there. Valo now and just pops out for the second out. And Eddie Juice now. 1-1 is the count. Anyway, Steve Treater and his work I like a lot. But his article, which I wrote about, I think like a week or so ago, his article is a good example of why these games are important. It's very, very important for those who want to seriously study baseball to play games like this and really get to know the players, instead of just having computer simulations be run and then congratulating themselves on how good they are at math. You need to play with it. Once you play with it and understand the players, you're going to understand what was really going on. If you want to criticize teams in the dead ball era for bunting too much, for example, you need to play with the dead ball era season and understand what it was like. And then you will understand why they did that and that the bunt is not always just a waste. Oh, Eddie Robinson. That's another one of those. Man, if he could just straighten that one out. If he could straighten that one out, we'd have a 3-2 lead if we could straighten these balls out. All right. There is Robinson, though, atoning for his somewhat incompetence in hitting the ball straight and fair for a home run, and driving in Washington's first run of the game, bottom of the fifth inning. And don't look now, but the Senators actually have a chance here. This might be a better game than I thought it was going to be. We'll see what happens. Strike one there to Stewart. Now he's worked the count to 1-1. Well, we talked these days about working the count. Back then, I don't think there was a lot of that deliberate working the count. Even Ted Williams, I think, was not quite necessarily the count worker that you think. I think he just had a good eye and a good instinct for when the ball was a strike and when it was a ball. Well, there wasn't much instinct there. The ground ball to second base. 2-1 is the score as we go to the top of the sixth. And, Scarborough giving up this little infield hit to Chapman. There's not much you can do about that. But I'll tell you the reason why Chapman's able to beat it out is because of that excellent run rating right there. And I think that I would put a play on if I was Philadelphia. Yeah, they do have a play, that bunt, but they're going to take it off here. Yeah. So you know what the computer manager is going to do after you play Diamond Mine for a certain amount of time. You get a pretty good idea of, okay, yeah, they're bunting surprise the first pitch. Don't bring the infield in because they're not going to bunt the second one unless it makes sense for whatever reason. In this, that's really interesting. The bunting again with Wally Moses, another thing I probably wouldn't do with nobody out in this situation. And see, they take it off again. And, yeah. Double for Moses. Fain decides to hold up instead of trying to score, and that makes the score now 3-1. Good play, or good at bat by Moses, definitely. And not a very good at bat here for Scarborough. We'll see what happens here, and we'll see if we can keep this one close. Yeah, you knew that was going to happen. You knew that was going to happen here, right? This is just classic. This is like the post I had the other day about the Cubs. When it rains, it pours. And when you have a team that's not playing well and the Senators are not even close to playing well, stuff like this happens where, you think you can get out of it if you just get, we don't have anybody out, but if you can get a double play, get a double play, get 2 outs. Maybe we can prevent that run from scoring as well. But instead, no, it's an error. Nothing happens. And then we have to face Nellie Fox. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. 2-1 pitch now. 2-2. Even him up. And don't walk him, Ray. And he walks him. 1949. What can I say? 3 walks in the game for Scarborough. 3 walks, yeah. But what matters is when you're getting the walks. Out at home, nothing else going on. They'll keep Fowler in, I'm pretty sure. Yep, they're keeping him in. 1-1, and we don't want to throw balls to the pitcher. There you go. Although that pitch was not a strike. Good job, Ray. 2 outs now. Youst grabs it, forces Fox coming in, and that's that. And here we go in the bottom of the 6th. 4-1 score now. 4-1 ball game, sort of similar to that game that we had yesterday that Cleveland won. I know they were leading for quite some time, 4-1. Ended up winning yesterday 5-3. Spoiler alert. There you have it. If you haven't watched that game yesterday, I'd recommend watching it. Though it wasn't quite as invigorating as that Yankees-Red Sox game we had 2 days ago. And there's a little double play again for Philadelphia, and that is what it's like to face this team. This is one of the reasons why I talk so much about this double play combination, because when you play this game and you play against them, you notice that they're getting double plays all over the place. Funny thing is that Diamond Mine is not really a game that's invented to duplicate that record. I don't know exactly how the fielding system here works, but I do know that it has trouble trying to replicate certain fielding records. But man, Philadelphia infield has been great. It's been great so far this season, and they've been playing very, very well. Walked to juiced on 4 straight pitches. Tried a little pitch out. Yeah, Scarborough with his fourth walk of the game. Looking quickly at him, it's kind of hard to tell. I know a lot of people like to look at a sort of, strikeout to walk ratio. You can kind of, if you have the walk and the strikeout numbers here, you can kind of eyeball it and see, about where it's at. You kind of know because of statistical probability that, it's not going to be exact as you play through the season. There's another walk is number 5. I just like to glance at it from time to time and see, okay, are we seeing a lot more walks than normally? It's not like I'm going to do anything to change it. I mean, it is kind of what the random number generator comes up with, and there's another triple, this time to Wally Moses, and it may be time to change pitchers. I don't know. What do you think? Again, leave me a comment. Let me know down below what you would do in this situation. You're down 6-1. I think that just about all of us are going to change pitchers. I mean, Scarborough's not been... he's not been exactly fooling anybody out there. And let's see who we've got. This is the other problem that you have, right? And this is one of these things that you don't think about when you're writing articles about baseball in the old days. When you're looking down at your bullpen and you're like, well, we pitched to everybody 2 days ago. It's kind of a hopeless feeling. It really is, I don't know. Do we want to do a double switch? Do we have somebody who can play short? Well, he can't. I mean, Defani, this guy had one at bat in real life, so he can't. Cohen can't. Simmons can't. So I mean, there's not even a chance here for a double switch. One of the questions I have about Diamond Mine and some of these other games is exactly how accurate some of these transactions are, as we put in Kieleman. And you wonder that because there's some teams that seem to be really, really stacked with players at this level, and you can make all sorts of substitutions and do whatever you want. Then you run into the Senators like this, and you're like, where'd all the pitchers go? And where'd all the hitters go? How come we don't have anybody? I suppose I could go around and look at what everybody fields as we give up that 7th run and try to sort of, bootstrap it together and make something that works. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit here in front of you and open up every single player. And I mean... Anyway, so it is. He almost balked. Look at this play. Right? He almost balked. He got away with it. It was a pop up behind first base. Long run for Lewis. Long run for the infielders. Nobody can catch up with it. It's a bloop single, and we have runners on first and third now. I mean, isn't this just a beautiful representation of what this Washington Senators team is like, right? So the pitcher almost balks. And in doing so, not only does he not gain any advantage, but, we then give up another base hit to put ourselves in an even worse position than we would have been otherwise. I don't know. How do you manage this team? What do you do? How can you turn this around? No, we're going to go for the double play, but watch us make an error. Oh, no, we made it. We made the double play. Stop that run from scoring. But seriously, what do you do? His ire directed the Washington dugout. I wonder what we did do. Maybe we want to blame this on the umpire. This is another point that I have, which is that, just as it is in the NBA, so it is in Major League Baseball. We talk a lot these days in the peripheral sort of sport around the sport about bad umpiring and different problems and stuff like that. You see that a lot in the NFL too, right? But the truth is that when you're down 7-1 like this and you've been playing like this, it's not the ump's fault, man. Oh, you can give him some grief about, well, what about this one call or that one call? But, I mean, Scarborough with his pitching, you put yourself in that situation, yeah, you're going to get burned every single time. I don't know. I don't know. We need to stop yapping about the umps. Actually, I need Washington to play more games on the road so I don't have to coach them. All right, runner on first. And now, this is the other thing, right? So if you're really trying to be fastidious here, you can tell I'm not. I'm not trying to make sure that I have an equal number of... Oh, there's a base hit, and Eddie Yost is going to... Let's send him to third. Let's see if Moses has an arm. Beat the throw, and he's safe. What I was going to say is that if you want to be really fastidious about your replay, you want to make sure that you're bunting often enough, and you're looking at the rates, and you're thinking, oh, I have to do a bunt a game or whatever. My question for you is, what do you do when you have a game like this? You're down 7-1, and you're not going to bunt. Even if the pitcher comes up, I'm not going to bunt with him. It's insane. Why? It's not going to do me any good. So when you do a replay, ooh, here we go. Go, Eddie. Stewart with the big double, and all right, we'll take that 7-3 now. That's a little bit of the comeback, a little bit of those runs back. I may be a little too late, but we'll see. At the very least, let's get into that Philadelphia bullpen. That's what we want to do. Or Fulmer can just ground out, and that will end it. Now here's Fowler coming up, and they're not going to even touch him. He's gonna pitch a complete game. You know that's going to happen. But what I was going to say is that if you're trying to get a certain number of, say, sacrifices or whatever per game to make sure that the numbers are looking right and leave no stone unturned, it's going to be hard when it's 7-1, or even now when it's 7-3. You're not going to be bunting. The same thing runs true for stolen bases. As much as I love games like this, there is one weakness that these kind of games have, and that weakness is that stolen bases are called by the manager and are not sort of automatic through the players. Now, there are other games that do have automatic stolen base systems. Every game has its strengths and weaknesses, but man, I wish I had a green light system in this game where I could just give guys the green light and let the game manage it instead of have me guess. Because, I know Philadelphia is at bat now. We have runners on first and second, but if I'm thinking about Elmer Vallo and thinking, do I want to steal or not back when he was on first base? I mean, it's kind of a pain to have to go in to look and say, okay, well, he has, 26 different attempts, 15 for 26, which is okay, but in this situation, I don't know. I mean, it's nice to have the control to do that, but sometimes I don't care. Sometimes I say, just give him the green light, Let's have the game tell me what is realistic, Anyway, just my 2 cents about this. I like having this channel. I can talk about subjects like that and sort of bore you to death with them, but this is the sort of thing that polite society doesn't really seem to care much for some strange reason. I think that this is all of life and death importance and that it's the sort of thing we really should care about. We're going to hit with Alcozar here, hitting 182. This is part of Washington's problem. But maybe he'll surprise me. Here he has 2 hits already today, 2 for 3, which makes me wonder how bad he was for the first 5 games of this season. 2-2 pitch now to Kozar. And there's another base hit, 3 for 4 today. That's not bad. Here comes Sam. Now, when you talk about... All right, 7-4. Talk about strategy in situations like that. I mean, you're kind of limited here. You could bunt. We're not going to do that. Not down by 4. Down by 3 now. Or you could hit and run, I suppose. But, I mean, down by so many runs, it doesn't make much sense. All the strategies that you have are kind of one-ball strategies or one-run strategies. So you can tell here, right, Defani, I've batted him 3 times. I think he's 0 for 3. Let's take a quick look at him here. This is where it gets a little bit iffy, right? Because you look at that 1,000 and you're like, oh, this guy was 1 for 1 in real life. Well, let's put him in. Let's see what he can do. Diamond Mine, with their more recent seasons, nerfs these players. Or in other words, they make it so that they don't have this like incredible batting capability. In the past, that wasn't necessarily the case. And so you have to be careful with when the season was made and if it's been updated or not. Anyway, we're not going to put him back in. There's no need. Double play, and there you have it. I was about to say we're playing with Washington, but the team where you see a lot of that historically, these kind of guys who would come in for one game and then disappear for the rest of their lives, those are the Connie Mack teams. Connie Mack, if you read that book by Norman Mack, I'm sorry, the series, one of the 3 books by him about the history of Connie Mack, what you'll notice is that Connie Mack just loves going after young players and giving them, those trials. Something that was common in baseball back before World War I and became increasingly uncommon as the sport. What was that? What was that? So the umpire boxes out our shortstop. This is classic Washington Senators baseball. The ball's called foul, but it actually landed fair. And nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to mind. Nobody seems to care about what's going on. It ends up just being a foul ball. It's a 7-4 game. It's a 7-4 game between a good team and a team that this season really has no prayer and no chance. And I think that's what's really going on. I think everybody's just trying to sort of, play out the string. But, boy, man, only in a game like this do you see that sort of thing happen, man. Woo-wee. And, of course, then you see this as well. All right, let's throw to third. Let's see if we can get him. Yeah, this is classic. This is just classic 1949 Washington Senators baseball. I mean, this is what if I had a way, and now you can't do this with Diamond Mine again because it doesn't save all the play-by-play, but if I had a way to show you all of the play-by-play that we have so far from the 1949 Philadelphia, or I'm sorry, Washington Senators, and if you were to go through and read it like a book, I tell you, this wouldn't be the climax of the book. This would just be another one of those, chapters where the same thing happens over and over again. It's deja vu, Groundhog's Day, I mean, you feel like every single time that this team plays, something like this happens. They're running a suicide squeeze with a 7-4 lead in the top of the ninth. Are they crazy? No, we're going to go for 2. All right. Now we get the double play. We get that out. And enough silliness here from the computer manager. What a top of the ninth that one was. All right, bottom of the ninth inning. Let's get some guys on. What was that old, what the gunner used to say? We need a blip, a bloop, and a blast. That's what we could use here. We probably, though, really could use some new players. And this ain't Football Manager, folks. We're not getting him. All right, we're going to hit and run. And it worked, it worked, it worked. All right, go to third, go to third. Oh, man, that was a little bit risky. I probably shouldn't have done that, but it's worked so far, and we have runners in first and third now, and Washington is, believe it or not, in a position to maybe do something with this game. We have Stewart coming up, 2 on, nobody out. Bud Stewart has a little bit of power, 550 slugging percentage. No home runs on the year yet. You love to look at that, the platoons. I think I talked about platoon ratings before. And he just hits a long and loud fly out, and now there's 1 away, and it's 7-5. All right, well, so much for that. Boy, I tell you, my heart skipped a beat when I saw that was one that he put a charge into to deep right field. I thought, oh, doctor, here we go. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. That's what these teams are like. These teams like the Washington Senators, man. They get your hopes up, and then they let them come crashing down in the end. Well, what do we do here? I mean, so Fulmer, what I'm thinking about is what do we do to stay out of the double play since we're playing against double plays the team, right? Robinson is a bad base runner. I don't really want to take him out of the game because I don't have another first baseman. Right, we went through these guys. He only plays second. These guys are outfielders, and we have our backup catcher. That's it. I'm not going to go through the rest of the team to see who else can play first, right? Or the rest of the team, I'm sorry, over here. We're not going to run with Robinson. We're not going to get the pinch runner. And you think, okay, well, you can bunt. Well, Fulmer is an awful bunter. I don't want to try to bunt and have him pop the ball up and have the game end in a double play like that, so we'll swing away. I mean, I know it's kind of small ball strategy, but you want to stay away from the double play, right? You want to keep the inning going. That's what your job is. Don't strike out now. Philadelphia gets that force at second base, so we did stay out of the double play. I guess Fulmer has at least some kind of legs, but here comes Evans, and this may be it. Strike 2, and he gets a base hit. And here comes Washington. Oh, baby. Well, I tell you, we make it exciting here on the Baseball Replay Journal, don't we? There's never a dull moment on this YouTube channel, and don't you forget it. All right, got 2 on, 2 out. 7-5 Philadelphia. Alcozar's coming up. 3 for 4 today, having a real good day after not playing well at the beginning of this season. You know that we're going to swing away with him. No chance for another Philadelphia double play, of course, because there are 2 outs. 1-0 now. 1-1. 2-1. Good eye. All right, let's see here. 2-2. Not so good eye. I know that Scheib is wondering if I'm going to run Evans at some point in time, and I'm not. Full count. And it's out of play. Come on, Evans. He digs this one out just to stay alive. Like that, you ever watched that 75 World Series Game 6, that Bernie Carbo swing one right before that home run? That's what I'm thinking about. That ball, fastball, and he barely pokes it foul. Let's see what happens here. Let's see if we have that Carbo luck. He's not going anywhere. Well, I guess he is going somewhere because the full count with the 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. And there we go. That's the base on balls that we needed. Man, I don't know what this is. When I play this game by myself, these exciting things don't tend to happen. And then when I'm playing in front of you guys, all of a sudden, it's like every single game is like a World Series game. This was supposed to be a series of relatively calm and easy to film YouTube videos. And instead, I'm here sweating it out, wondering what's going to happen to my boys. Sam Dente, and we have the same problem with him as we did elsewhere. He's hitting fairly well. The problem that we have is that if we were to take him out, we got no one to put in his place. What happens if you're playing with injuries turned on, right? That does it. That is your ball game. Ground ball to short, and Juiced gets it, gathers it, gets the out, and that is that. Well, I tell you, I thought at the beginning, with the way the Philadelphia started this one off, that this game was going to be one to forget about. That's the reason why you heard me right from the start not tell you too much about exactly what was going on, because I thought, boy, this game's not really going to be much, is it? But it was something in the end, wasn't it? Well, there you have it. Final score, Philadelphia Athletics 7, Washington Senators 5. Hope you enjoyed that. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a comment down below, subscribe. You'll see one of these every day, assuming that I stay on pace. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.